It is indeed Christmas time in Hollis, Queens, and everywhere there are Christians, to be honest. It is Friday, the 18th of December. It is 7 days till Christmas. This time next week, we'll be celebrating Christmas Day. But this time right now, we are celebrating what we always celebrate come Friday, getting it through it all, and Bubble Friday. Good morning, happy Friday to you. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. Blowing bubbles on this pretty good-looking Friday. It is the factor that it is a little colder than I'd like it to be, but it's a pretty good-looking Friday as it is. Well, that didn't help out. Jay Cleveland Payne, I just said what my name was, and this is Bubble Friday. Bubble Friday is a very simple thing. You just take a little time on your Friday to celebrate getting through the past 5 days of whatever it is. Assuming it's work, maybe you're retired and just 5 days of watching other people work, which can be pretty exhausting. That's what my dad tells me. Watching other people do work at this point, now that he's retired, is kind of tiring. Takes a lot of naps after watching people work. But you get through 5 days or 7 days or 10 days or whatever it is that your time is, and it doesn't have to be a Friday, just whatever day you're wrapping things up. We use bubbles as just a symbol, something that I carried over from a old job, an old workplace, where it's just an easy way, a cheap way, a fun way to kind of relieve stress, just joining together and blowing bubbles at each other and giggling for a little bit. Now, if you want to be adult about it and enjoy other type of bubbles, the type you take in, not blow out, then we just ask you to be responsible, make sure that you are of age, and if you're blowing other type of things, well, same thing applies. Make sure that it's legal where you are. That's the most important thing. It's legal where you are. And if it's not, I ain't telling nobody. If you can't do anything fancy or all that stuff sounds just like way too much work, take a moment sometime today as you prepare yourself for your weekend or your time off, whatever it is. I work 7 days a week, so it is what it is. Take some time to just take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale, and you have effectively blown the week away, blow away the stress, and prepare yourself for going forward. That's it. This is just a quick reminder every Friday that you survived, you did it, and a couple of good things. And so while I'm always, hesitant, wondering who's actually watching these things, a lot of these things, a lot of these messages that are said are essentially messages to me that I would like to hear. So a lot of stuff is coming back my way. Just be sure, and you're just sort of in the room. So thank you for being in the room, because it would look really weird me making a recording just for messages about myself. So there's that. Make sure you send me some notes about how I'm doing in the comments, no matter what or where you're watching this from, a phone, a tablet, a computer, Facebook, YouTube, various different places. The software I use for this supposedly gives me chances to see all the chats coming in, but that's not true. So I will go out throughout the day and see what's going on, and say hey to folks and thank everybody for popping in. And today I've really been kind of rambling for this full almost 4 minutes, and I really need to be moving because I got meetings at top of the hour, like radio meetings going on, and we have some big gatherings to take care of. So I've got a lot of work going on today. So number one, I want to remind you, which if you didn't hear in the first couple minutes and haven't been following me all on my Facebook page, today is 7 days till Christmas. Next Friday is Christmas Day. So if you hadn't started Christmas shopping yet, you might have some issues. There's plenty of things in stores, and stores aren't as crowded and crazy as they've been in the past because the way COVID-19 has sort of shaken us up lately. But what has been a problem, or is a problem, is the Amazon craziness there. I ordered something right after Thanksgiving, a Christmas ornament to be exact. We get a new ornament for JJ, my daughter, every year to commemorate the year. And this year I got her a black Santa Claus wearing a medical mask, because that encompasses all about some 2020. It's gotten lost. So it should have arrived. It was one of those things that were, made in China, overly mass produced and shipped. And so it should have been here 2 weeks ago. Like I said, I ordered it after Thanksgiving. Should have been here a couple days ago. Got notice it was showing up on Tuesday, I think, and then it keeps going back to the lost. So your package hell may be issue-ish. Amazon still has 2 days of delivery because of all the distribution centers they have built around here, but it might be an issue on some of those hot item things that are there. PlayStation 5's notwithstanding, so you need to get started with your Christmas shopping as soon as possible. Stores aren't crowded, but some of the inventory that you're looking for because of supply and demand things are an issue. So make sure you get that stuff done because 7 days till Christmas. You have no excuse. It's December 25th every single year. Also, since next Friday is Christmas, we are working on a special family PJ edition of this thing here, the Bubble Friday. If things work out according to plan, on Friday, me, the wife, and the kid will sit down in our Christmas PJs after opening presents, do a quick something. It may not be live. We may record it and do some editing for later and put it on there because I've got some family stuff to do on Christmas. I'm not working Christmas, but I got to do some moving around. And so time-wise and life-wise and family-wise, Christmas is going to be a day dedicated to a lot of family in a lot of different places, so there's a lot of movement going on. And so because of that, Christmas Eve and Christmas will be gathered together. But there will be some sort of message, even if I end up doing it myself on my phone in between stops. But I'm planning to get the family together, and we're going to do a Christmas-ish, Bubble Friday-ish with all of us in our Christmas PJs. I agreed to this year for some reason, so I got to play it out. So all that being said, let's get to the message after the bubbles. In the title description for this video, if you've seen it live, you'll see I may change it up in the replay stuff. It's saying we're using the wrong word to describe 2020. We have all been through the same almost 365 days this year. And if you're in the United States, you know that in February, in January we learned about this thing, and in February it became something where we had to kind of think about it, and in March we shut down the nation, and around that time a lot of the world shut down because of COVID-19, the novel coronavirus, a new coronavirus, which I found out is not the 19th one, but because it essentially was born in Wuhan, China in December of 2019. It's named by the year. I know this now, didn't know that there. There's your trivia tidbit for the day. COVID-19 overtook our lives, and very early in the situation, I don't think I was doing Bubble Fridays, but I was doing, I guess I was doing Bubble Fridays, but I was doing some writing, some video, some stuff like that. And a few weeks into the ordeal we had here, school shut down, and school shut down for a week. And then school shut down for a second week, and then school shut down for a third week, in which I went on this really hit this hissy fit on what I'm going to do with this kid who had been sitting in my office for the past 2 weeks, sort of doing some work. They had, because of winters and bad times in the past, they set up a system this year where they had a packet of papers they get at the beginning of the year. So they had a snow day, they had some paperwork to do so they could get some work done. And they had logins to computer work so they can read the things and do some math stuff online. But all that stuff, the full teaching stuff for last year's school, was not established. So we ran out of a week's worth. We ran out of schoolwork pretty quickly. And then of course, they never went back to school. My kid never went back to school last year. Went back this year, and it's been she hasn't had a need to be pulled out, but it's been an ordeal making sure that everyone has been safe. And one of her classes, she's in third grade, one of her classes actually had a scare where people were sent home for about 3 or 4 days, so everyone got tested negative. On top of that, and I'm going to do this is a lot of personal stuff to kind of go into the point of this. So that happened for 2020. I had to deal with what I'm doing with my kid all season long. School season long. Turned out my mother-in-law and my wife ended up working from home most of the summer and the tail end of the school year, so my wife was able to take care of homeschooling and work, and between the two of them they kept up with her in the summer since we couldn't send her off to a daycare for the summer or a camp of any type, so she was at home was going on. that was there. But that was a lot of stress with the work from home situation, and made a lot of issues when coming home. And the living room is no longer a place to sit and chill and relax for the day. It's literally the office because people are still working. I had to deal with a lot of issues with my job, where I went from last year, 2019, being in radio, working my dream job, to coming to education. Not quite a dream job, but something that I found very good. Not an educator per se, but a manager, a operations person, making things work out. And the issues coming in a few weeks into having the job and going remote and finding computers that didn't exist anymore, and laptops and hotspots and cell phones, and keeping things up and having people work remotely who've never done it before, and figuring out some that really didn't need to, and how to install computers from 2 hours away, because some people lived 2 hours away. It was a pretty trying and pretty just tumultuous time. And along the lines, like I said, I worked in radio. It's not quite, never got caught completely. Was able to sneak back into it towards the tail end of the year. But the work that I'm doing there has become more of a time-consuming chore than necessarily growth. I like being in radio. I like doing the stuff there, but I'm not so much doing it. It's essentially, to be honest, it's essentially hiring a PhD to sweep around the shop. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying there's more things I could be doing. Time doesn't allot it, and to be honest, the nature of the business, pay, does not allot it. On top of that, I had a couple of health things. I had a couple distress things. I had a couple things go on. My dad had some health issues this year. My mom is great. And just general life things happening as well. Some pretty cool things happened, and I'll get to those in a second. But here's where I'm going. 2020 has been a disastrous year for many. It's been a tumultuous year for most. It's been a pretty sucky year for all of us because it has not been what we planned. It has not been very fun for anybody. We were going to take Joe to her first concert this year. You see JoJo Siwa. That concert was postponed, to be postponed, to be postponed, and eventually it's been canceled. It's actually was last time it was postponed is until sometime spring of 2021. Then they just killed it, and they decided all these things backed up had to be taken out. But of all the things we've did and said and done and complained about and rambled on about for 2020, the words we're using are actually not the right words that should be used to describe the year. There's one word to describe the past year, and it is simply, that word is hard. 2020 was hard. For some, it was harder than others. For others, it wasn't quite as hard as it could have been. But basically, every single year you go through something, if you're growing and learning and not just sort of half vegetable and just kind of existing, something happens to challenge you that you either overcome or you don't, and in the comeback from not overcoming, usually become stronger and better. 2020 had plenty of challenges, and luckily enough, we live in an age where we have computers and smartphones and high-speed internet and can send memes back and forth. This happened back in '84. This would have been nuts trying to do CompuServe and sending memes back and forth and chatting with folks. But 2020 has been a little bit of everything, and the word that should be used is hard. Here's an example. My nephew graduated from high school in 2019 and began college. Not only began college, he began life at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. For some reason, that little jerk figured out how to make things work and do something that's a little bit harder. Essentially, it was he wanted to go to school out of state. It was paid for. He had a dream of being a walk-on swimmer since it's the Navy. He thought that maybe if he got to school long enough, he could get onto the swim team because he's a state champion swimmer. But swimming is one of those things where it's very few and far between of those next level spots. So he didn't think he'd get a scholarship on swimming, so he got a scholarship to go into the Navy. He's going to try to swim, do a bunch of things. But in the process, school got shut down, which he was like, all right, cool, peace, I'm done. till he had to do all his AP work and college work that was still there. His last batches of activities were canceled. No prom, no parades. They did have a full-scale graduation on the football field where they sat 6 feet apart from everyone in a large big square, and were only allowed to have 2 members of the family sit in the stands, also social distance, and they just basically filmed it like they filmed the football games. It was not the best presentation, but it was how he graduated. He got through. He was able to get in all his paperwork, do all of his signatures, meet the representatives who represented him to sign off on his stuff, and show up to Annapolis a day early, and found himself thinking he was going to kind of wander through the campus, and then found himself on lockdown early up. He had to sit in quarantine for 14 days before they could start anything because they had to make sure nobody was sick. He's been marching around with masks, marching around in spaces. Everything's been locked down, and it's been, military academy life. I didn't do a military academy, but military academy life is not the easiest thing to do, and it's been double time hard this year. But it's been hard. He's enjoying it. He's having the time of his life, but it's been difficult. My niece, the social butterfly, got classes locked out of pretty early last year as well. She's now a sophomore in college, and this year, same thing applies. Most classes aren't meeting in person. She does a lot of activities. She is all over the place. Like my dad describes it, like, I don't know what's up with this kid. She don't know how to do a quarantine. She's out all the time. But she makes it work. It's been hard, but she makes it work. She's in a band, she's in clubs, she's DJing on the radio, so I got that as a legacy there. She is doing family stuff, she's doing stuff with friends. She is growing and thriving like whatsoever. But it's been difficult. It's not easy college where you can hang out all night and just sit in a quad and do your stuff and play frisbee and do all that other stuff. It's been regulated, it's been well planned out. I mean, she's literally at the house or she's at her activity. But she's had a lot of activities, so she's back and forth and back and forth. It's hard to get a job, to do other stuff, but she's managing, and she's doing very well, but it has been hard. Georgia Morris just popped up on the in one of the chats I can see here in my window, and Georgia Morris is the founder, head, chief dishwasher, and of course, spiritual leader of the CPR Chess Club, which stands for a whole lot of words, which I can never always remember. But this was a club that was met in person, where at some points, like maybe 20 or so kids would show up and play chess with chess masters, real chess masters, and just dudes who love chess, showing kids how to playing many games of chess once a week. And lockdown means we can't show up and sit around in the large spaces. What does she do? She's like one of the biggest Zoom warriors out there. She took it to Zoom. She took it to online tournaments. She when she lost an instructor, she found another one. She lost a grandmaster or a chess master. She found 2 more. People are just showing up and making this thing work. She's expanded chess class. She went from 1 night a week to 2 nights a week with chess classes. And one night has a beginners, or 3 nights actually, because one night has the advanced class, chess class. She is running this thing like crazy, and it has been hard. She has been successful. The club has gotten bigger because more people can come online. The club has won more tournaments because they can just hit a button and be online and not have to travel anyplace. And so it's been all that, but she has made it work. Those are 3 examples. I can go more deeper into the kind of stuff I've done. Most of my stuff has basically failed, to be honest. But it's failed because it was hard to do a lot of stuff. But in the end, I'm here. You're watching this video or listening to this recording, so you're here. You made it through everything going on, and there have been an astronomical amount of deaths from the coronavirus, linked to coronavirus, and just people around the world, because people die of things every day, to be honest. No one's going to be here forever. All of us have a clock that's ticking for our lives, and at some point in time, we won't be here. But we're here now, and we survived through 2020. The only people who won't know to say it was hard are infants and toddlers and very young children. For their parents, especially for people giving birth, I've known a lot of people who, well, obviously didn't time it quite this well, but that because of coronavirus, they've had extra precautions in the whole birth thing, because we can get sick breathing on each other. We don't know how exactly it happens. We don't know the true weight of it. So, not that giving birth was easy to begin with. It's been pretty hard for all of humanity. It was a little harder this year because of all the extra protocols. Everything we did this year was hard, or at least harder. It is what it is. That's just the way it is. So the word for 2020 is not catastrophe. It's not, blank show, because a lot of things turned into that. It's not even chaos, and it's not even anything to do with the election stuff, which was a blank show and chaos and catastrophe, all wrapped up in one, plus a few other words that are even worse than S show. Blank show. You know what show I'm talking about. Everything we did this year was harder to do. Everything we're doing right now is harder to do. Getting through Christmas is harder to do. Thanksgiving was hard. All holidays were hard. 4th of July was hard. Bubble Fridays were hard. Guess what? You made it this far. I'm going to assume you're going to make it the next week to Christmas, the next week after that to New Year's. So let's just say you survived it. It was hard. Congratulations. Oh, this week I produced a podcast for Steps to Your Better You. It was just 90 seconds of me saying you're awesome, and that's essentially what this is. Not 90 seconds. It's 22 minutes of me rambling about the year being hard, but the year was hard for all of us. Congratulations for making it through. It might have been harder for you than it was from others. It may have been not quite as hard as is for others, but just the sheer fact that we are all mandated to walk around with these makes it a little bit difficult to deal with. You've got having to remember to put a mask on when you go out is an inconvenience that makes things a little bit harder on its own. But that inconvenience basically saved millions of lives when we learn of how this thing works out. So the word you need to wrap up for this year is hard. Christmas is not going to be easy to get through. For some folks, it's not easy to get through in general, but this year with all the craziness, it's just extra stress we're living through. And to be honest, when I hear the experts saying 70 to 85% of people have to be vaccinated, which is going to take a while because there's not enough vaccines, and it takes a little time for everybody to kind of get through that, so the herd immunity that we're going to look for means that by next Christmas, we may be okay. But it's a may be okay. It will probably be the spring after that, 2022, where we're at some semblance of normal. So 2021 will probably be a little harder as well. I hate to tell you that, but that's just reality. So be prepared for it, because now you have a heads up on it. Congratulations on getting through this part, because it wasn't easy. And like I said, pretty much all of my thoughts at the beginning of the year, after I got my new job, after I got myself back on some sort of substantial footing financially, to grow and learn and take off on some of the side things that I now had a bit of freedom to do because I wasn't locked down from my old corporate job a lot. I was doing things basically freelance on my own. They didn't pan out so well. But they also didn't pan out so well for other folks, and there's a lot of people in the radio industry who found that lack of movement meant lack of dollars, and lack of dollars mean lack of jobs. That wasn't with iHeart, but they're still having people week after week finding out they're losing jobs because of money, and a lot of other places as well. So, while I'm glad to have what I have, that also means I'm not necessarily content to stay where I'm going to be. So 2021, as hard as it's going to be, it's going to be challenging, but we're going to keep challenging, doing greater stuff, finding more things to do, finding bigger, larger things to manage. We're going to find some way now that we have some sort of plan. 2021 still going to be hard. 2020 was hard. Next 2 weeks still is hard. But guess what? You all made it. You all were awesome. You're Bubble Friday people. So congratulate yourself and blow off the steam for the week. Blow off the steam for the year and prepare for a big year, because it's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year. It's still going to be a little bit harder, but we'll get through it together. And if you need someone to chat with, someone to shoulder to cry on, commiserate with, complain about, have a virtual coffee or virtual beer, or in-person beer when allotted. There are some places that's there. Reach out. We'll make it work. So, like I said, I've got a lot of things on my plate today. I am taking some time off the next 2 weeks, so I've got a lot of things compressing the days I am working. So, here's the deal. If you like listening to stuff like this, ways you can help, down the screen there's a link that says podcast at jclevelandpain.net/podcast. I talk a lot like this on things like this in a couple different forms, some shorter than others, some longer than others. That was redundant, but there's that. You can check out some of my podcasts, and if you're into news and information and just keeping it world, look out for the weekly wrap-up podcast with Jay Clifton Payne. And we got a new one coming out this Saturday, and I'm going to do a year in review, the top stories of the year of each month for Christmas, and then we'll see what happens for New Year. We'll probably start off fresh. If you want to keep things and support what's going on, like really support, that means like put up a little, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/jcliffandpayne and pay for essentially a cup of coffee. Stay hydrated. Pay for an extra cup of coffees. You can buy coffees on subscription if that's something that you'd like to do, if the effort's worth it. If you just being here is all I'm getting, then hey, I need people here to listen and feedback. Feedback is great. Love getting feedback from you guys out there, especially my boy Josh out there, who wrote a little bit on his Facebook about how hard it was for him this year because side hustling. It's been different. He's big in Uber and Lyft. He loves doing that, and because the restrictions on his time, he couldn't do that. So he had to figure out other things to keep the cheddar coming in, because he's got a large family and they eat a lot. And they're in Alabama, so that, there's always, that. So my boy Josh, he had it hard this year. He'll have it hard going forward till things open up to normal. But he's a survivor. He's got it strong. He's got it covered. He knows the Bet at Schmooze got his back, so that's there as well. Congratulations for being awesome. And congratulations for watching a 30-minute video of me sitting in my office drinking coffee, talking about it being hard. Because guess what? Some people did not have the ability to see the 28th or the 18th of 28th, the 18th of December 2020. They literally did not wake up. Some people woke up, they couldn't get out of bed. Some people woke up, maybe got out of bed, didn't have the ability to pull out a phone, get on a computer, because they didn't have the money, the funds, the technology, or aren't there. Some of those people don't care. Some people do much better. Some people, there are people living in the middle of the rainforest. Those tribes that we've not seen for centuries, who don't care about what's going on, who are literally living off the land where life is hard every single day. They don't give a damn about us whining about not being able to sit in a Starbucks. What's that all about? But you have the ability to live in a world with technology and wonders and just great things. Vaccines made in under 8 months to hopefully get us back to normal. That you should not take for granted. So don't take it for granted. Enjoy some downtime. Enjoy the family near you, the friends near you, the family and friends not quite so near you, and however you get a chance to reach out to them. And we can't really hang out with strangers these days, but give a smile under that mask. Show somebody like a smile under that mask to show that we're all humans, we're all making it work. From 1 lesson on site to 6 lessons to 5 tournaments a week, several levels of classes going. That's Georgia replying back to me talking about classes for the chess club. 1 lesson a week. A bunch of kids in one room going all of the lessons, 2 lessons spread all over the way, and many tournaments because you can just press a button and be around the world. We are competing here in Little Rock, Arkansas, with kids from around the country, and probably Canada, Mexico as well, English-speaking places. I'd have to ask Georgia specifically on that one. And we are doing pretty gosh darn good. I got to get JJ up to tournament speed. She's still kind of, in kind of lazy phases. She doesn't really she likes to play games, but she also likes to kind of play at her own pace and cheat, be honest. She'll basically declare she's a winner and go watch TV when she's done playing. That's something she's done since she was 3. But so we're trying to get her into the fact that rules are rules. It's something we're working with. But congratulations for making it through the week. Enjoy some downtime. Congratulations for making it through today. At least this part. I'm assuming you make it through the rest of the day. No serious homework. Just hang on in there for the next couple of weeks. Next week we'll have a special. Hope to have a special family edition of this thing in our pajamas. We'll have our jammies on. We'll have our Christmas gifts open. We'll be preparing for a day of moving back and forth to visit family in a lot of places to go. And just wrapping up the year, and hopefully wrapping the year up on a good level. There's 2 more weeks, so there's plenty of time left in 2020 to take a even worse turn. Trust me, I understand that. But the word is not horrible. For some folks, it might have been. But for most of us, if you have the ability to watch this video, it probably wasn't too horrible. But I know it was hard. If you need help with something, reach out. I'll see what I can do, what little I can do. In the meantime, let's all wrap up this Friday, get back to work, get things going, and prepare for the crazy hustle bustle of the weekend. I still have a little shopping left to do because a couple things got lost in Amazon, so that's happening. I work every day, but I have some radio time off the next couple of weeks, and I also have some school time off on Thursdays and Fridays. The Thursdays and Fridays coming up, so I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to get as much done as I can while things are quiet, and when things are shut down, I'm going to sit at home and sit in the quiet and feel blessed because I am. God bless you, each and every one of you. Happy Hanukkah if you've just finished that one. If you're in Ramadan, happy Ramadan. Merry Christmas. If you don't care for any of those, happy holidays. Just enjoy the holidays itself. Yeah, I can't explain Santa Claus either, but happy holidays. We will see you in some form or fashion next week.